Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. The movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you. They say it to us first. Now, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Well, as you guys know, every year, for the past 6 years especially, I've shared with you guys my top 100 books of that year. This year, I did the same thing. We shared our 50 nonfiction titles as well as our fiction titles. And one of the books that was actually on my top 50 of 2014 is actually of the guest that we're about to speak to. Author AnDerecco is back with us today to talk to us not only about his continued literary success, but also about his book that made our list, Family Values. It's a fascinating look, I think, of what it really means to be family, and also, of course, what you're willing to give up of yourself in the process of trying to be a part of a family. We'll talk to AnDerecco not only about the year he's been able to have, but he's actually wrapping up by starting a new television program. We'll talk to him about that, as well as how you guys can stay connected with him as well. AnDerecco, hello to you, and welcome back to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, the pleasure's definitely all mine, AnDerecco. First of all, congratulations to you on a great 2014. As I said, you're wrapping up the year by starting a new show. We're going to talk more about that here in just a moment. But what has it been like for you, AnDerecco? You've been able to write these books, and now, of course, to be able to have your own television program. What has it been like for you to do what you love and to see the way that people are responding to it?
Life has been great. I've accepted it with open arms, and it's just been a fantastic journey, to be on, and to be able to be in my 7th book and to have a book that has been an award-winning, it's just awesome.
Well, there's so much about family values. I'm going to get more into that here in a moment. But you released not one, but actually 2 books since the last time you and I spoke. You also released Evening Gentlemen. And the thing that I noticed, and especially when I saw you earlier this month, I said to you, especially about family values, I definitely believe it is your best work yet. Do you find yourself growing with every book, AnDerecco?
Of course. And I can tell that my writing, my topic is pretty much of course I write in script style, but I can tell that my writing is growing, it's maturing more. It's not how it was when I first started. I can tell a difference in it.
Well, it's interesting. Speaking of when you first started, I had the opportunity to actually interview you for when you had your first book. It seems like a lifetime ago, but the thing that really struck me then was, at the time you weren't really sure about how much of yourself you were going to put out there. That has definitely evolved for you as this journey has gone on. Have you felt more comfortable introducing people to who you are as your career has continued throughout the year?
I have, because with each book, you can tell that I'm not only growing in my writing, but I'm growing as a person and becoming more comfortable with who I am as AnDerecco. And so you can see that in my writing. And like on the first book, on the back cover, you can tell that the author's photo, you only see my back. But now you see more of my face, and I want people to know that it's me. And I'm accepting who I am, and I'm going forth with life.
Could you have imagined 5 years ago, though, AnDerecco, that here you would be, going on your 7th book, with your own television program? Could you imagine this would be the life you'd be living?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because when I first started writing, it was just something to do. I guess you could say a story that I wanted to tell. But now it has become a part of who I am, and I enjoy every character that has come to mind. As you see me often, I'm often carrying a pen because an idea will hit me. And it's just, I enjoy telling stories, and even though it's fiction, it is still a part of me and some part of what I have lived in each book.
Right. Well, you know what? You bring up an interesting point, because along the way, not only have I feel as though you've definitely grown as a storyteller, but your audience has grown too. You've definitely been getting press. You've been able to do articles written about you in newspapers. You've had television segments. What has that been like for you to know that you have readers out there that are not only appreciating you, but also being recognized for the work that you're putting into each book?
I enjoy it, and it makes me think that the world is growing and becoming more open-minded to the topics that I write about. And with, it's just, I enjoy every bit of it.
You mentioned the topics. I would say, and I really believe this, even, going back to, the second and third book, but especially I think with family values, I think you really expanded your audience because I think, for family values in particular, with that book, you give us some characters in there that, you're going to love to hate. You give us some characters in there that are really lost. And then, of course, you give us some characters I think that all of us can relate to, and that is, that have been living a life of secret in various ways.
Right.
And when those secrets come out, it can be devastating, to not only them, but those around them. Do you feel that as well, that you're touching on topics that are larger than just one group, but something that people of all walks of life can appreciate?
Exactly. Because with family value, the main three characters in the book, one is dealing with her marriage and the demise of it, and the main character, Dwight, is trying to be accepted in his family, trying to receive the love from his grandparents that the other grandchildren have. And also with the baby boy, he has a secret that he don't know how to deal with himself, and he definitely wants to keep the Cove name as what it is, but he has some demons that he's battling with.
Yeah. Grandmother Ella, she is something else. I will say that. I think, we all have that one relative that kind of runs things no matter what age they get to or how
Right.
people may look at them. They're the ones who, are kind of running things. What was it like for you to create her, and especially, the way that she did kind of manipulate everybody?
To create Grandmother Ella, I had to go to a place that I have never lived. Because, as you say, she was a character within herself. She was going to make sure that nothing outside of the four walls of her family got out. She wanted everybody to know that her family was just perfect. And to create her, it was very, to be honest with you, it was very hard to try to be that devious.
Yeah. And I think that is the thing, I think, everyone loves a devious person, though, so I actually enjoyed her, especially, the scenes that she has with Robin in the book, where basically she's laying down how things are going to be, regardless of what Robin or others may think. There is also, of course, a thing about parenthood, because I think just as I think the book is about what it means to be family, I think it also shows that, for some people there can be such a thing as too much truth. Did you think that through going into the book, or was it something that kind of evolved as the story evolved?
It evolved. It evolved because when I first started writing, I wanted to focus basically on Dwight. And as I was writing, every character's story started to unfold, even for me. And I didn't even know which way it was going to go as I was writing.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I think, there are those characters like Trinity that we meet in the book that definitely, I think, have a prominent role in the story, as does Noah. I think Noah is another one of those characters that people will remember. Before we go on, I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. I'm welcoming back today award-winning author AnDerecco. We're talking to him not only about his journey as a storyteller, but what it's been like for him to share that stories with all of you. One of his books that he released this year, Family Values, made my top 50 book of 2014 on the fiction side. That's the book we're primarily talking about. But as I said, you definitely have other work out there, AnDerecco. And I think the great thing about authors like yourself that have more than one book out is that someone may hear about, let's say, Family Values. That's actually on sale right now on Amazon.com. But then they may, while they're over there on Amazon, may pick up one of the other books and read them. Has that been one of the things that you've noticed, that people may go in, looking for one book and end up finding something else?
Pretty much, because like I say, the main book that has been the biggest seller is the one I released this year is Evening Gentleman. And like you said earlier, I released Evening Gentleman and Family Values at the same time. And with that, I have found that when they was purchasing Evening Gentleman, I was seeing the sales of the other books also go up. And it went all the way back to Love to Love. The sales for that one went up for this year.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing, since you mentioned The Evening Gentleman, the thing that struck me about that was that I guess could in some ways be a parallel for me for family values was the fact about living your own truth, just as we kind of had that, that epiphany with Dwight and Dwight doing that. Nathan kind of dealt with that himself in the book Evening Gentleman because he was living, well, actually both of them, I think. I think that would be a great parallel. Both of them were living on the outside, the life that everyone thought that they should be happy living. But I think it also goes to the larger point, especially of family values, but also I think of Evening Gentleman, that, it's not always what other people think. It is more so, what you feel for yourself. I want to talk about the relationship that Dwight goes through in the book, because there are, of course, two individuals that would kind of find him, whether he wants to be or not, that he is between, and that is Brian, as well as Robin that I mentioned earlier. That is something that I think a lot of people can relate to, because you make decisions because you want people to be happy. But what was it like for you to create Robin? I mean, Robin basically, she was not being fooled. She knew exactly what she was walking into. Right. What was it like for you to kind of create that character? Because it's so different than what sometimes we hear about in the news stories of the woman feeling like she's been bamboozled and didn't know this about her man. But Robin went into this wide open. What was it like for you to create her character?
It was easy to create Robin, very easy. And the reason why I say that because outside of the book, I know someone like Robin, and I basically took part of that story and added it to Robin's character. So, like you say, she went into it wide open, her eyes wide open with the situation. And like you say, most women would feel like they're bamboozled, but she had a motive herself.
Right.
In this.
Exactly. All goes back to grandmother. Grandmother. She was ready to say. I want to talk about Brian for a moment, because there are, I think, a few things that happen with that relationship that we're able to see. But the thing that the kind of social commentary I think that you gave, there's a great conversation that's taking place between Brian and Dwight. And one of the things that comes up that I honestly was not expecting, and that was the N-word. We find out how Dwight feels about that word. I mean, was that a part of AnDerecco coming into that, where that comes into where basically Dwight's being accused, of messing around, and that word gets used, or why was it something that was important for you to mention that Dwight had a problem with that word?
Because that was part of me. I have a very... the N-word is something that it strikes me. And as I was writing, I could find myself coming into Dwight, and when he and Brian got into that situation, and Brian called him that, it was just, AnDerecco coming out.
Gotcha. So, I guess an obvious question would be, if you had to say, and I'm just saying hypothetically,
okay,
if you had to say, because I hear authors talk about putting themselves, and you and I have talked about this before in AnDerecco, but in this particular book, in Family Values, which character is closest to you?
Which character is closest to me would probably be Dwight. It would probably be Dwight. Because even though I did not live his whole story, I know exactly what he felt and how he felt trying to gain the acceptance of someone. But he would be the closest one that I would relate to.
So, okay, with that being said, as you are able to do that as a storyteller, being able, of course, to put pieces of yourself in there, I want to talk about your audience for a moment. I mean, I know that you communicate with them online like the rest of us do on social media. What is it like for you to hear others say to you, hey, that could be my story, or thank you for writing that because I've been through that situation? What has that part of the journey been like for you to hear from readers, and how much they've appreciated the stories you're telling?
It touches my heart every time I hear it. It's like the very first time that I hear each person that have told me that. It touches me. To say that I told your story, I told their story, and not knowing who that person is, it's a feeling that's really undescribable.
Yeah.
It just touches me in a place that in my heart, it just tugs at me. And, you know, I've had many people that have told me not only like the main character and the thing that he was going through, but other characters that are in the book, they can relate to them as well or know somebody like them.
So let me ask you then about, you know, the conversations, because there are, you know, and I guess this would be another parallel between Evening Gentlemen and Family Values. I mean, it all could boil down to secrets and, you know, what is more important? Is it saving face, you know, or being happy? You know, do you think that the characters that you're creating in AnDerecco show that, you know what, you know, it is about being happy, but you have to be able to realize the cost?
You do. You do. With every action, there's a reaction. And whatever decision you make, whether it's to please your family or to please yourself, there are going to be obstacles and ridicules to everything that we do. And I find that when I'm writing and creating these characters, I may come up with a chapter that I'm thinking is going to go one way, but the characters write themselves. And it's just, it's funny to me, to be honest with you. Because like I say, if I'm thinking it's going to go left and they take a detour and go right with it, because like the story with Trinity, I really was not expecting that in Family Values.
Yeah, you know, so since you mentioned Trinity, I want to go back there for a moment. I'm going to talk about the broader story for me. With Noah, I mean, what about Noah's storyline? Did you expect the way that it was going to evolve? I mean, is that something that you knew was going to happen?
No, honestly, no, because Noah was just going to make a appearance as a nurse, and that was it.
Okay.
That was it. And when him and Trinity developed their bond, it took a whole nother route than what I was expecting.
I think that is the thing. You know, I guess, you know, for me, the reason why this became one of my favorites in AnDerecco is because I think, again, that so many people know what that's like, you know, wanting to please. And then, as I said, even in my review on Amazon, I think, you know, then there's the other questions that come into play. There's power. There's all of those things that kind of come with, you know, having a name and living up to an expectation. But, you know, there are those words, you know, that the White says, and I think it's so interesting because so many people can relate to that. You know, this marriage is for my family, not me. And, you know, I when I read that initially, I kind of smiled because I wondered how many men and women have said that exact thing, you know, about someone who they're going to marry. Is that part of your hope, as well as entertaining, of course, because it is entertainment, because it's fiction? But is it also your hope that we're kind of able to look at ourselves and think about why we do, you know, what we do, and is it worth it?
To be honest with you, yeah. I hope that it is, when the readers, it is thought-provoking to them, because I would hate to be someone that's in a situation where I know it's not what I want to be, but I'm trying to do this for my family. And the first person I feel like you have to please is yourself. And you're going to lose people and you're going to gain people. And as each reader reads the books, I hope that they take it to heart and evaluate themselves and be like, you know what? I need to be happy for me first.
Right. I think that's it. I think that is the big lesson. I tell you, I think the other thing that I learned is that, you know, definitely when someone pulls a gun out, you definitely more prone to listen, I think, than other times. And I think that's one of the things that the characters in the book are able to realize as well. That just, you know, you don't have to point it, just put it out. That in itself, I think, will make people do exactly what you want them to do. Again, everyone, I'm speaking to award-winning author AnDerecco today. We're talking to him not only about his literary journey, but his award-winning book, Family Values. He actually has it on sale right now on Amazon.com at an amazing price. We'll be telling you guys here about that in just a moment. AnDerecco, I will have to ask you this because I think most readers, you know, after they finish telling you how much they enjoy something, the obvious question is, when is the next one coming out? I mean, are you already thinking about 2015 and your next release?
Yes, 2015. I'm right now working on a new project. and I want to release it probably about March of 2015. 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So something for us definitely to look forward to. And I want to ask you this too, because now, I've read officially 5 books of yours. Are there characters that because you mentioned how even in this one with Noah, how that there's some characters in Family Values that were not supposed to have such a large role as they did. Are there characters that you've created in your previous work that maybe you would like to revisit and to tell more of their story?
True. Jacob. Of course, Jacob is my main character. Will always be. I hate to say this, but will always be my favorite character. And Jacob was in the first 3 books, and his story evolved in each one that he was in. And right now, I guess because Jacob is me, and certain things that have gone on in my life, and I just write it through Jacob. It's very cathartic for me to tell my story through Jacob.
Gotcha.
So after this one in 2015 that I plan to release in March, he may be coming back.
Okay. All right. So that's something for us to be able to look forward to. He may be coming back, AnDerecco.
Yes.
We have to wait to see, of course. But he will always keep us posted. AnDerecco, how can our listeners stay connected with you? And then we're going to tell them how they can get Family Values.
You can stay connected with me on Facebook, facebook.com/AnDerecco, Instagram, AnDerecco1, and on Twitter, also AnDerecco. And also on YouTube, just search my name, AnDerecco, AnDerecco, and you can find me just about anywhere. And also my email, AnDerecco@gmail.com.
He's made it very easy for you guys to stay connected with him. As I referenced earlier, Family Values is on sale right now on Amazon.com. Of course, that's one of our partners here at Conversations Live. You guys can get it for less than $3. Less than $3, you guys can pick up Family Values. So I want to challenge 10 of our listeners out there today to be able to pick up AnDerecco's Family Values. And then, of course, after you read the book, I want you guys to go back to Amazon and post a review. So I'm going to remind you guys of that when I get off the air in the next hour, to make sure you guys pick up Family Values, let AnDerecco know what you think about the book when you finish, and then, of course, post your review. Speaking of YouTube, I did reference the show that you started, Sip and Say. Talk to us a little bit about that, AnDerecco, and where the idea came from.
Sip and Say came from just the idea that I want to have. I like to. You maybe can't tell, but I like to talk at times, and I wanted to talk about current issues, pop culture, politics, reviews on books, music, and TV shows, and different things. And so I just have a panel that I wanted to get together, and we just film like once a week. And I wanted to have a different episode. Like my first episode came up with me talking with Gerald Gibson about HIV risk preventions and the stigma of it. And we wanted to focus on here in Jackson, Mississippi, but it's a thing that needs to be talked about. It needs to be given a voice because HIV, even though it's out there, so a lot of people are afraid to talk about it, but it is a discussion that needs to be had. So Sip and Say with AnDerecco is just an idea that I've been toying with for the last 2 years, but now I'm really working on it.
All right. Well, congratulations to you on the show. I actually watched the first show. I think I missed the one I noticed that you did. I think the scene in Kent. I haven't watched that one, but I did watch the first one though with My Brother's Keeper. So congratulations to you on that, AnDerecco, and looking forward to, of course, to the next book from you. Again, everyone, our guest has been award-winning author AnDerecco. His book of Family Values, one of our top 50 fiction titles of 2014. This conversation, you can tell there's a lot in this book, a lot for everybody. So definitely want you guys to go and pick it up. He has a price just right for you guys at only $2.99. So make sure you guys do get it and also share it with your friends. AnDerecco, congratulations again. I'm looking forward to the next conversation with you.
All right, thank you. I appreciate everything.
Hey, you're more than welcome. We thank you all for tuning in to another edition of Conversations Live. For our radio audience, there's more Conversations Live to come, so you guys stay tuned. At the bottom of the hour, I'll be speaking with author C.J. Miller about his new book, another fascinating read, of course, course, that I know you guys are going to want to stay tuned for, so definitely stay tuned here. For online listeners, though, if you guys came in late and missed part of the conversation, thanks to our online friends, you guys can catch just this segment, and the link is already on our social media site. That's facebook.com/CyrusWebb, or go over to twitter.com/CyrusWebb. I actually tagged AnDerecco on both places, so you guys can easily find him there. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music, as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live today. You all make it a great one.